Hi guys, so this video here is taken from a full course on building a track from scratch in Logic. You'll be able to watch all of the Logic related videos for the course on YouTube. There will be a link to the playlist below for you. But in this course, we're basically building this whole track from scratch. If you want to follow along with that, you can. And if you want to download the project file and all the samples that go with the course, there's a link to that in the description as well. I hope this video is useful to you and that you're able to follow along with the course. Let's jump into it.
Feeling heavy, but now I'm steady, going up from hitting the ground.
Okay, so I've done a couple of extra little bits, especially with the vocals and things, but I've not used any new techniques or any new ideas. And the beauty is you have this entire project, so you can actually dive into it and really listen through and see how everything's been built. Save me repeating myself, make an investment in your time this way as well. So what we're going to do is we are going to move on to the mixing stage here. First things first, I'm going to do a tiny little bit of housekeeping just so we can get everything working nicely. Now, as we were building out, I made a drums bus and that sits right up here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take that drums bus and just drag it right the way to the bottom here. I'm going to go to my mixer channel. We're going to have like this kind of mix mash here where we've got like the click and other bits on. What we can do is we can just click on tracks here now, and this should have everything in order as it is on the screen. The problem is it's going to put my auxes after that drums bus. Well, it doesn't necessarily matter too much because I'm probably going to have to automate something at some point on these other buses as well. So we're just going to tap on the strings, hold shift, click through to the wide bass, and we're going to right click and create track. And they are now all going to appear in here as well. Now, I keep them at the bottom. Some people might keep them at the top. Personal preference, I just like them to be right at the end of the mixer chain. So they are now all there together. Drums, strings, vocals, bass, and wide bass. You might want to color them in the colors of the individual regions that are already in your track. I tend to just leave them in a block of yellow and just know that I'm going to be working probably off them 5 for the most part. Now, throughout all of this, I've had a channel EQ on the stereo, just doing a top and tail. Now, we're going to go to the mixing stage now. So if we've got any crazy low end or some horrible highs and things that have managed to appear, now we're going to fix them individually on the channel. So we don't need that guy there anymore. I've had a limiter on here, which is mainly been so I don't get any distortion in recording the video. I'm going to leave this on just for that purpose, but just know I would normally not mix into a limiter on minus 0.1 like we've got it here, meaning if I'm getting up to that anyway, I've done something wrong in my mix. But while in the creation stage and messing about with sounds, just didn't want any clipping, and I still don't want any issues to occur, so it's left on there just for that purpose. The other thing on here is the gain plugin. The reason that's on there, quick switch to mono. I'm going to leave it on there, but it's going to be disabled. And when I need it, I'll enable it and pop it into mono to test things like that. I'm going to stick the limiter down as the furthest thing in the chain. And we'll just leave that on just in case any issues pop up or we have some craziness with some effects of some kind. Now, throughout the course of creating this, I've made lots of gain adjustments. So I've continuously really gain staged the track so that massive adjustments aren't really going to be needed. Now, Logic 10.5 plays a smart game as well in that certain things that you pull in, it's going to adjust the faders. So we've already got lots of fader adjustments going. And as a result of our gain staging, the smart stuff that Logic does for us, we've actually got a pretty coherent balance already. What I'm going to be doing now is listening to the individual buses that we've got made. And I work in a process where I will actually work backwards from the bus. I get the bus sounding as good as possible first, and then I go to the individual elements and tracks. And the way that I will usually work is in an order of drums, bass, vocals, everything else. Those are the fundamentals in what I work with. Kick drum needs to come through, snare drum needs to come through, bass needs to be there, vocals need to be super prominent. Those are my main elements. Everything else is kind of secondary to those. If those elements don't work and exist, the drum and bass track with vocals has fallen apart. Once those are there, everything else can be tapered around them to really sit and work. So as you would imagine, I'm actually going to start with drums. What I'll tend to do is loop a busy part of the track. So this section here has pretty much all of our different drum performances going on, and it has even the rolls and things going on here. If I start it slightly off, I'll even have our extra drum roll in there. So if we solo the drum bus, we've got everything together. Now, level-wise, if I just click on stereo, I can see and reset it that we're coming in a touch hot. We've got 5.2 dB of headroom. When we bring our bass in, that's probably going to go down a little bit. I want to be somewhere between the -6 and -3 dB range for my mix. This at the minute is okay. We need to really keep control of that as we go forward.